Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to Multimedia Communications Challenge. My name is Stephanie Monte and I'm presenting on behalf of the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. So first off, I'd like to start with a check-in and grounding. For those that are watching, feel free to share your name, age, pronouns, and share a little bit about one of your favorite podcasts or something you'd like to listen to. I'll share a little bit about myself. My name is Stephanie Monte. I am the program manager at Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. Just to sum up this bio, I went to school at Cal CLA where I did my undergraduate studies. I worked at the University Times newspaper where I started my journalism career. During my time there, I also started the first internet radio station. From there, I started my master's degree at USC, where I worked for the Children's Radio Foundation in South Africa, producing shows with young people living in townships. And we recorded stories about their identity and their community. And since then, I've been working here at the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. I'm a femtor for the Board Vida Media Youth Collective, and really just want to use all the tools and all of my experience that I've learned to give back to young people so they can also break through in industries like public radio. So a little bit about the organization that I work for. Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory, in short, creates career pathways for youth in film, television, radio, and the creative arts sector, which falls under a lot of things, including illustration, animation, music production, and really a lot of different areas of the entertainment industry. And we work inside school districts. We work at with the Department of Parks and Recreation, and we also work inside camps and halls with incarcerated youth throughout LA County. All right, so let's get to the creative challenge. Again, this is multimedia communications. We'll be working a lot with sound and audio. So let's get started. I'll read a few of these just to get familiar with what the creative challenge is and some of the opportunities that we'll be learning through this experience. So we'll be thinking critically about some things that matter to you and creatively engage in opportunities to demonstrate to others what you know about this topic. I'll go deeper into the project itself. We're also going to engage in a deeper learning of content and skills that apply directly to the real world. This is great because a lot of the students will be able to understand careers in the field of multimedia communications and all the different pathways that there are to be employed in this space. We'll also collaborate with other students, community partners, and educators who are invested in the same topics that you all care about. Also exploring various industry specific techniques and resources in order to create and share content. Lastly, create positive change within your community through the sharing of your learning and passion. So let's go through the actual creative challenge overview. So through this challenge, we'll be taking a look at youth radio and the highlights that impact broadcast has on individual creativity and communication skills. And really the goal is for us to introduce you to careers in the sound and audio engineering industry. You and your team, you guys will produce a 10-minute narrated podcast and a 30-second teaser that explores one of the following prompts. How do you like to change the world and how has it changed you? The second is my story and where I'm from, where you guys can talk about your neighborhood or your campus and school. The last is interview with a multimedia professional about their career journey. So those are some of the topics and choices that you all will work with to create your 10-minute narrated podcast and 30-second teaser. So before we start, I'd like to share some examples and get the team excited. So here are a few. I'm just going to share one and I'm just going to share part of it. And this is from KQED. This story is called High Schoolers Rock the Mic Right Now-ish, which is part of a series that they did. And I just want to share this example because it really highlights how informal and casual podcasting and audio recording can actually sound like. So I'll scroll down here, we can listen.
From KQED. Mic check, check one, check two. Are we here? All right, we're here right now ish. Today on Right Now-ish, we're chopping it up with young folks. We're taking you inside of a 10th grade media class at Fremont High in East Oakland, led by well-known community advocate, educator, and my longtime friend, Leon Sykes.
The last time they had a full year was 7th grade. You know what I mean? 8th grade got cut off short. 9th grade, they were on the computer. 10th grade, they're back in person.
So I pulled up bright and early to their first period class.
It's early in the morning, and normally your brain is turned off, but their brains have been more and more awake and creative each time. So, yeah.
Do you disagree? Does he have you messed up? Is your brain not awake yet?
No, because I have to wake up at 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning? That's at night. The sun ain't even up yet.
I know, right? But my dad had to go to work.
I got you. What's your name and your age?
Deja, I am 19 years old.
Is that what has you messed up the most?
Yes.
What can you do about it?
Maybe wake up more happier, I guess,
How you gonna wake up happier?
if I get some breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast does that. I'm a fan of the breakfast burrito. The focus of our conversation was that big question. Where do they have you messed up at? What's something that grinds your gears? You know, that thorn in your side. Something that bothers you. What is it, and what do you plan to do about it? Yeah, that's what I asked the young folks.
So I'll pause right there. I think that gives us a good sense as to how a podcast or an audio story can start. From that 90 seconds, you really get an idea of the topic. You get an idea of who the characters are. And so just wanted to start with that example, because it's going to be really important with this creative challenge for the students to talk to different people and to get different perspectives and to be able to record various perspectives of the story that they'll be covering. So just a little taste as to something that you guys may be producing yourselves. And there's a few other examples that you all can listen to. Something else about these particular examples is they are pretty sound rich. So you'll be hearing lots of different sound effects and actual editing effects that they've used. For instance, the rock the mic-ish in the beginning, or right now-ish, you can hear kind of like a echo and fade. And so just want to give you guys an example of things that you guys can play with when it comes down to the editing process. So we'll really briefly, I'll talk about the standards, CTE standards, and some of these areas that you guys are going to be able to gain and develop a mastery of these particular learning areas and competencies. The first being academics. Through this project, you all will be able to gather information and develop perspective through research, interviews, observation, and experience. That's a tool that you all will use over and over and through your adulthood. Second piece is communications. A lot of you will be talking and being the host and being the narrators for these pieces. So you'll be communicating information and ideas effectively in online and professional settings. The third is problem solving and critical thinking, demonstrating media literacy through critical inquiry, analysis, and reflection. Media literacy is really just the understanding of, this world that we're in, navigating this digital virtual landscape, which I think a lot of young people have kind of gravitated towards and been able to navigate pretty successfully. The fourth is ethics and social responsibility. So you all will be able to develop as socially aware, media literate artists and content creators. Nowadays, all of us are content creators. Anyone who has a mobile device is a content creator. And so, shifting from being a consumer to using your phones for a greater good, to document, to archive, and to be able to storytell. And the last one here is demonstration and application. So you all will be devise and publish a body of work demonstrating a specific area of expertise or focus. And all of these tied together, they're all clear examples of 21st century skills. So I'm excited to see the work that you guys all create together. as a team or individually. And really, I think you all will look back at this later and say like, oh, that's, was really fun project. I enjoyed this. And you can listen back to something that you created during your high school years. So kind of to sum that up, after completing this challenge, students will be able to effectively communicate a story through interviews and the use of natural sounds. You will also be able to strengthen your listening comprehension of complex texts that are both conversational and formal. Students will learn to build a personal connection to and with your audience that can be highly engaging and interactive. You'll improvise your skills in research, writing, and collaboration. And lastly, create a unique perspective and synthesize information that can be shared with an audience. These are all really important tools of being an effective communicator. And, in addition to these things that you'll learn, I think you also have a lot of fun meeting new people, working as a team, and being producers. So let's get into some of the challenge requirements to better explain what this challenge entails. So all of the audio submissions must be 10 minutes in length, and you should also be submitting a 30-second teaser. And just to explain what a teaser is, it's kind of like a sizzle reel. It's almost like a commercial for your 10-minute archive, 10-minute audio story. So that can be some of the best clips, the best highlights of what you're going to be talking about in length. And all of that should be exported as an MP3 file. A few other things to include are narration or voiceover. So your piece should have a host who really tells the story, and you can have multiple hosts. Think of a host of a talk show or something like that. You would have a narrator. Your audio stories should also have interviews or guest speakers, and that's considered a sound on tape. You'll also include natural sounds or sound effects, and really that's going to help create an atmosphere and environment for the listener to really put them in another world through these different types of sound effects. And the last one is music, which is optional. You can use it for your intro and outro, or you can use it to transition from scene to scene through your piece. So all work must be original, no plagiarism, must not include any copyrighted material, which we can go through later in the software and tools that you all will be using. All material must be appropriate, no hate speech, violence, or anything meant to target a specific group based on any affiliation. We want to be able to respect each other and uplift each other's views and perspectives. And that's really the beauty of radio and audio recording is, you really judge someone based on what they have to say rather than what they look like. So that's pretty key. And then the last one is to check out the Creative Challenge evaluation rubric to see how your projects will be scored. I won't go over that, but that is hyperlinked here. Some of the materials and supplies that you all will need are actually pretty simple and things that you may already have. The first being a laptop or a Chromebook. I do suggest you all use an actual computer versus a tablet or anything like that. You may need to use the keyboard during the process. Headphones are highly suggested so that you can actually hear everything that's coming in, and you can isolate the sound a little bit more clear. You will need internet access for the program that we'll be using, which is Soundtrap. And you also need a Soundtrap account, which is free, but you will need an email to link your account. And a quick note is Soundtrap is a web-based program. So as you're using it, you'll need to be connected to the internet. Otherwise, any progress may not be saved. Audacity is another software that you can download. It's free for both Mac and PC. I am adding that as an extra source in case some of you don't decide to work from home, then you can use Audacity if you don't have internet access at home or if you're on the go somewhere else. That's another program that you guys can use. And the last one that you may have is a mobile phone or an audio recorder. And that'll be useful if you all are recording out in the field and you want to go capture some sound effects, or if you want to get an interview outside of campus, you can use your phone through the voice memo app to record some interviews and audio. So I'm going to walk you through a few steps of the creative challenge. The first being, you'll ask to be listened to these provided examples and really start brainstorming your topic. So you're going to want to evaluate these different clips that are different lengths. They vary for anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to 12 minutes is the example that we just shared and listened to. And there's an analysis tool that's linked that you all can use to kind of better understand what you like about this piece and what may be missing or what may be able to help this story improve. So always good to listen to some examples and get some inspiration before starting your project. The second step is to plan. So you'll be asked to begin the planning process with the use of a brainstorming tool and script graphic organizer. I can walk you through those. And some of the things to keep in mind as you plan are: what research will you need to conduct prior to recording? Who do you need to interview for this story? What type of natural sounds or sound effects will you need to enhance that story? And how will you cite your interviews and sources? So how will you give them credit for who they are? Let's walk through the brainstorming tool first. So this is just something that you can use to kind of get your ideas out there. So after listening to these pieces, you may want to talk about topics that you're passionate about. Using those 3 questions and prompts that we spoke about earlier, you'll want to just kind of freestyle write on some of these subjects here. So this is just a guide to help you guys finesse your idea and to structure it before you even start the actual recording process. This is almost as if you're pitching this to executives and you want to make sure that you're able to deliver your pitch in a 30-second, kind of like a 30-second elevator's pitch. So you want to be able to know exactly what it is you guys are going to be talking about. And the next tool is a script graphic organizer. I'll zoom in here. So this is really like the formula to script writing. There's script vocabulary and examples here. And the way that this works is you'll start off with an anchor lead or an introduction. It may sound like something like, "Hi, my name is, and I am going to be talking about this subject. We're students from this school." And then you may want to just briefly talk a little bit more about the subject matter that you guys are going to be going through. SOT, or sound on tape, that's going to be your first guest or your first interview, or the first ambient noise, or the first sound effect that you hear. So you want to list that and describe it. Then go back to your narration. You may want to give a little summarization of what that first sound on tape was. So you may want to say, I met with so-and-so and they helped me understand more about the subject matter that you guys are talking about. So it's kind of like you're introducing and then you're summarizing the sound that you guys are recording. And then this process continues. You have your sound on tape, narration, and it continues until you reach your conclusion. In your conclusion, you want to leave your listener with a few takeaways. You want to leave them with a little insight or reflection of what this whole piece was about. You can copy and paste and repeat this process as needed. But this is just a simple formula that you all can use when it comes down to writing your script. And the key for writing a script really is you want to write like you talk. You want to sound as natural as you would when you're talking to a friend or a family member. You don't need to sound very academic. You don't need to have too many words that are hard to pronounce. You just want to keep it clear, concise, and be creative with this project. So those are some things that you guys can start with for planning. And you definitely want to have a plan of action before you actually start recording. So step 3 is the working draft, and students will be asked to create a draft of your work. So here are a few things that you can keep in mind. Use that script organizer to create, your script draft and write out the narration and your sound bites. Then you'll have a better idea of who you're talking to and how that's going to develop your story. And as every good story is, you want to include a beginning, middle, and end. And you also want to include other story elements, for example, conflict, climax, resolution. Those are key things you want to incorporate into a story. Like I mentioned earlier, for broadcast and for audio, you want to write like you talk. You want to make this sound as natural, like the example that was shared. Those kids were just kind of hanging out and talking to each other in a normal classroom setting. As you're writing your script, make sure to read aloud. This will help you write the way that you do talk, and this will help you with pronunciation and tone and inflection. So there are certain words that you may want to emphasize and inflect, and so it's a good practice to read as you're writing. As you're reading and practicing, get feedback from a friend or a family member, someone who will be honest with you. There are a few tutorial videos on Soundtrap's website, which we'll walk through in more depth in the next technical training. But there you can get a better idea of how to use Soundtrap and all the interesting features that it has. And we'll also walk you through creating an account and learning just the basics of using that studio interface. You'll be using Soundtrap, the program, to record your voiceover. You'll be recording directly to your computer, and that directly to your computer and to Soundtrap. So you'll be allowing Soundtrap to use your microphone. Let's see, so also importing interviews and assembling in your composition area. All of this will be explained in more depth through the technical training, but any sound bites, any audio, any music that you'll be using are all going to be added to Soundtrap. And in this composition area, you'll be able to assemble and move things around to your liking so that you're able to have a flow and have all of the elements in your story. The last step is going to be to export your file export your project as an MP3 file. Step 4 is practice and revise. So you want to make sure that you listen to this as you go, as you're working, and there might be something that you want to fix. There might be something that you feel like is missing. And so you'll be able to, create a final polished podcast project. So you'll be listening back to this piece with your family member or friends and get true feedback from them. Add music or sound effects to this piece and use a podcast peer feedback organizer to evaluate the final piece. This will help you kind of gain insight from your audience and see if this story can transcend to another person and translate with them and get their reaction as to what they liked, what they didn't like. And step 5 is producing your final work. So the last steps are, again, to listen to your work. You'll want to check your audio levels and make sure the music isn't louder than the narration and vice versa. You want to remove any long pauses or breaks, any ums or ahs or likes as much as you like, and make sure that it's the correct length and export it as an MP3. And all of this, again, we'll go over through the technical training. So those are the steps to creating this challenge. Once you're ready to submit, you're going to follow these steps. And just to note, all the Creative Challenge submissions are due Friday, February 10th by 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You're also going to click on this link to submit your challenge, which will take you to a Google form. And just to zoom in on this, it's a very straightforward form with your email, the names of those who participated and worked on this project. You'll select the high school that you're with, select your grade level. You'll select Multimedia Communications for this project. Create your project title, which can be anywhere from 1 word to 15 words. A very short project summary. You can just mention what this project was about. what the audience will be listening to. We'd like to collect some more information about the process if you worked as a team, and what that collaboration process was like. What is something you and your team learned about your creative pathway during this project? And what is something you and your team learned about yourself during this project? Hopefully there is, something that you all gain through this project. I really suggest that the more unique and the more creative and, the more in line with who you guys are, the better the project will become. Here is where you'll upload the MP3 final draft, and trying to use this naming convention. So your school name, project title, and the year. And the last is a visual component. So if you can enter, add file actually of a photo or some sort of graphic that you all decide to use, that will be needed as well. So once you complete the form, your project is officially submitted and will be premiered at the Grid Festival, which will take place early March 2023. Dates and details will be shared soon. And then there's also a note to follow the CCLL Instagram for more updates on the event and as the challenge progresses. So I'll pause for brief Q&A. And if there are no questions, then I believe that that's the last slide. I just want to thank you all, and I'm happy to, assist throughout the challenge. And again, storytelling is really important. For us to be able to share our own narrative and create our own stories. It's truly empowering, and I'm really excited to hear what sort of projects you guys come up with. So yeah, thank you all and good luck.